LeeAnne Wright, and I'm the food editor at Canadian Family magazine. And today we're going to learn how to make a pie in 6 easy steps, from foolproof pastry down to a great, delicious filling. So our foolproof pastry starts with step 1. Pastry is really a simple thing to make. There's only a few ingredients. The first thing we're starting with is 2 cups of flour. This is all-purpose flour, and you add a pinch of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of sugar to it. So we're just going to pour that in this bowl. And this is kind of one of my very first ways for foolproof pastry, okay? You can use a food processor if you want. We are just going to grate this vegetable shortening that's been frozen right into the pastry. It kind of puts the vegetable shortening in the size of pieces that you want, so you don't actually have to touch the pastry too much, which would heat up the shortening. And so then what you're doing is you're just kind of putting the flour, you're working the flour and the vegetable shortening together. And so you want to end up with little pea-sized pieces of flour and fat together. You don't want the vegetable shortening to be all incorporated into the flour, because this will leave these pieces of vegetable shortening suspended in the pastry is what makes pastry flaky. So step 2 in our foolproof pastry is adding the liquid. And what I've got here is 1 egg that I whisked together with 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. So I'm just going to pour that over the pastry. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're incorporating water. Now this is ice water, and I'm going to just add 1 tablespoon at a time. We start with 1, and I'm going to start working it in with a fork, okay? And it doesn't look much like pie dough at this particular point, but very quickly it will come together. So it needs 1 more tablespoon of water, which I'm going to add. And this is almost ready. So once you get to this point, all you need to do is pour it onto, dump it onto a piece of plastic wrap, gather it together, flatten it into a disc, and put it in the fridge. Wait an hour, and you're ready to go. Here's a tip. Always keep your dough chilled. In between each process, put it back in the fridge and then pull it out when you're ready to go. Step 3. So I've taken my dough out of the fridge after an hour that's been chilling, and then I just floured the surface and I've just rolled out the dough. Just some tips when you are rolling it out. You've got to keep the pastry moving. I mean, because otherwise, as you continue to roll, it's going to get stuck. So I'm going to just get it up onto the rolling pin and just bring it over to the pie plate. Gently push it in. Then once you've got it in, because this is a single crust pie, I'm going to put it back in the fridge to chill while we make the filling. So step 4, we're going to prepare the pie filling. In this case, this is a summer berry pie that we're making. And so I've got between 5 and 6 cups of fruit. I've got blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries in this pie. Because these berries are quite sweet, we're going to just use 1/2 cup of sugar. And we've got 3 tablespoons of tapioca powder. That's just going to hold everything together and thicken the pie a little bit. So you just gently fold that in together. Here's a tip. I like to use 2 types of pie thickeners: cornstarch when you're cooking the filling, and tapioca when it's fresh. After you've mixed in the sugar and the tapioca, you just pour this into your chilled dough. Just spread it around. This is where I like to crimp the edges here. I kind of just do this simple little technique where I pinch, and it just adds a nice edge to the dough. Then I'm going to put this back in the fridge. So here we are at step 6. This is just our a streusel topping. It kind of makes the pie a little different. I'm just grating up this marzipan here on the box grater again to 2/3 of a cup of just all-purpose flour. And then we've got butter. This is a 1/4 cup of butter that I'm just grating in on top of the marzipan. Remember, always keep your fats chilled, so butter, vegetable shortening, whatever it is. So then this is the same sort of technique that we made the pastry. We're making a streusel, and the flour and the butter and the marzipan, they kind of form the top of the pie without you having to roll on a second piece of pastry. So once we get this all incorporated, we're going to pour it on top of our pie and spread it over top of your berries. And then we're going to give the pastry a little touch of egg wash. This is just 1 egg that's been whisked. You just run it along your pastry like this, and it gives it a nice color. So I'm just going to put this in the oven. Got it set at 350, and I'm going to set the timer for 45 minutes. Our foolproof pie is done. Now it's time to enjoy it. Pick it up. Oh, that's really good. Can I eat some more?